Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is AJ and I am here to recap 90 Day Fiancé Season 8, Episode 10 called The Devil's Work. I have recapped other episodes and they will be in the eye and on my channel, so be sure to check them out. Okay, keep watching. Thank you. So first up, we are going to talk about Mike and Natalie, and this couple. And I know that if you've been watching, you understand when I say this couple. So basically throughout my recaps, I have been saying the same thing about Mike and Natalie. I feel like every single confessional of Mike's, he's always talking about we need to work on the relationship, but we never actually see them working on the relationship. Natalie is usually the one that initiates the whole ring thing. She's like thinking that the ring solves all problems, I guess. And yeah, so in this episode, Natalie feels like they need an outside source. She's like, we've had his mother, and that didn't go as planned, I guess, to a certain extent. And after his mother came, she kind of felt like they were moving in the right direction. And then they had an argument about her saying, I don't have a dress yet. And he's like, well, I don't have a tux, so why does it matter? Same argument, or same story, different argument, or same argument, different story. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that they always come back to the same thing. So in this episode, Natalie said that she wanted them to go to a counselor, someone who's licensed, someone to kind of give them a different perspective, and Mike is against it. And the reason that she's saying this is because she said, like I said, she wanted an outside person, someone who didn't know their story. She wanted someone to help them communicate because she realizes that they have completely different communication styles, and Mike is completely against it. He's like, I'm not paying for that. To be fair, Natalie did offer to pay for it, so he would not be paying for it. She just wanted the outside help, and like I said, he was very against it. He finally agreed to it after some pestering, strong negotiating, strong nudging by Natalie. And when he went, I don't know what his attachment is to this Bluetooth, but he refused to take it out of his ear. I probably would have ripped it out of his ear, honestly, because I think that's so rude when you're talking to someone and like you still have a Bluetooth in, especially during a counseling session. That is so rude to me. Maybe you agree. Let me know down below. Basically, in the counseling session, they agree that they're not in the same place of love as before. Basically, they both said they're still not in love with each other. Like, they love each other, they're just not in love with each other. And once that was revealed, I was like, y'all could have had this conversation a long time ago. Obviously Natalie brought up therapy as like a last resort, but my whole thing was, if they had gone to therapy a long time ago, maybe they would have gotten to this realization and a lot of these issues would have been resolved. But I guess I'm glad that, they finally know where they stand with each other finally. I mean, she's been there for a while and it felt like nothing was addressed, and now it's like we know where we stand. We have a foundation now of where we need to go. So those are my thoughts on them. Agree, disagree, comment on your thoughts on Mike and Natalie below. Okay, so like I said, next couple is Jovi and Yara. So where we see this is that they just found out that they were pregnant, and Jovi's mom, I still don't remember her name, is throwing them an engagement party. And apparently, Yara's not really into crowds. She's not into having a lot of people. So the mom told her, oh, it's going to be a small little ceremony. And then the mom admits, like in a side little confessional, that she actually invited 50 to 60 people. There's a difference between 10 and 50 to 60. Needless to say, I think Yara is not going to be pleased. But, yeah, And this is the first time I believe that we meet Jovi's father, if I'm not mistaken. Like, this is the first time him and Yara are meeting. And then this is the first time that we are meeting. And his father said something. Sorry, I'm getting so close to the camera. Please ignore me. Okay, like I was saying, the father mentions that Yara should not be walking around New Orleans by herself, which fine, you know, that was a good start. But then he said something about the way she dresses like attracts the wrong type of attention. And from my memory, I have not seen Yara dress in the way that he is suggesting. I think they might have flashed like some photos on the screen, but since she has been here, I have not seen any of that. And I think it wasn't the father's place to even approach that. Um, I just didn't like his attitude towards that. Like, no. So, later on, a little later, like it seems like 10 minutes later into them meeting her, hopefully that's not being picked up. I'm sure it is. Anyway, they're kind of having a little sit down, and they somehow they get onto the subject of Yara coming to America, and they try to make it seem like, you know, this has been her lifelong dream. Like, she's been scheming to come to America ever since she was little, and there's a whole bunch of Ukrainian women all scheming to come to America. And Yara's basically like, stop right there. Okay. This was never my dream. I actually don't want to end up in America. I want to move to Budapest to be with my mother. And Jovi's parents were flabbergasted, to say the least. You know, 2 minutes ago they're practically calling her a gold digger and slash opportunist, and then now it's an issue because she doesn't want to stay in America. It's like, pick a side. Which one is it? And yeah, they weren't really excited about that bit of news. But you know what? You get what you ask for. You know, not everyone is as they're presented. And then another thing that I didn't like was they basically left Yara at the house to go run errands for the party, and Jovi went to go hang out with his friends. But his family, I don't know exactly who said it, but someone made a comment like, oh, we left Yara alone in the house. Did we lock everything up? And I was like, why would you say that? That's so unnecessary. First, she's a gold digger slash opportunist. Now, she just told you that she wants to not stay in Louisiana and she wants to move overseas. And now you're saying, like, it's like these snide little comments. They're so unnecessary. And, yeah, I didn't like that. Jovi did stand up for her in the car and was like, that, you know, don't talk about her, but sir, you know, whatever. And then no one seems to like Yara in this episode, because later he goes to his friends, and it just seems like his friends want him to stay single. They don't want the Jovi that's like responsible and settled. They want the Jovi that's going to strip clubs and partying all night. They expect that Jovi all the time. They don't like this new Jovi. And for his friends to say that they only give his relationship like a few weeks, then 6 months, then 3 years, that's unnecessary. Just say we wish you luck. That's all you have to say. It's already like moving in motion, you know. Just say I wish you guys well and keep it at that. And I kind of wish that he had voiced his disdain for his friends' comments more. It just seems like he kind of brushed them off, but I wish he had been like, hey guys, like, you need to quit it. That's enough. That's my fiance, my future wife. You know, keep it classy. But he didn't. So, yeah. Okay, so Tariq and Hazel, in this episode, we just see them briefly, and it is concerning Hazel's son, Harry. The coronavirus is, I believe when we see them, it might be March into April when we see them in this episode. And the coronavirus is unfortunately making its way through the Philippines. And of course, when the pandemic first started, we heard about what symptoms to be aware of, and we find out that Hazel's son Harry actually has a fever, and she was very worried. Obviously, you know, she is thousands of miles away from him, and here she finds out that he has a fever. um and I think she wasn't able to communicate with him like all the time as well, so that's just adding to the worry. um I believe it's in this episode she does get an update. If not, I'm kind of spoiling it for the next episode, but she does get an update that he's feeling a lot better and she's able to talk to him and the fever had subsided. So that was really, I know she was very thankful for that. They all were, because that would have been very hard news to like absorb from miles away. So yeah. Okay, so Ryan and Stephanie. So today or not today, wow, in this episode, whenever this is, where did she get the hula hoops from? Like, she had like 5 or 6 hula hoops. Where did she get them from? Like, does the resort just have an abundance of hula hoops? It seems like a random thing to have around. But anyway, she was hula hooping. If you don't remember, when we first saw her, she's like trying to get into the Guinness Book of World Records or something for longest hula hoop. Excuse me. And she was practicing even in Belize. And Ryan was really supportive. He was like, yeah, you go, you know, my girlfriend is going to be in the Guinness Book. You just watch out. And I was like, okay, supportive boyfriend, you do your thing or whatever. And yeah, Ryan said he felt like Stephanie is trying to control him and his family with her money. And he kind of gave the example of Stephanie had given his family some money, and I guess Stephanie didn't like, I guess Stephanie didn't like the quickness or non-quickness of his mom saying thank you. Let me back up. I think Stephanie did not like the fact that his mom didn't go into some grand thank you. I think his mom was just like, oh, thank you for the money. And she wanted his mom to be like, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. This will go towards this, this, and that. And Ryan was just like, she said thanks. You know, what else did you expect her to do? And he blatantly said, I feel like you're controlling me and my family with your money. And she didn't understand that. I see his side. I guess, I don't know. Stephanie is interesting. That's all I'm going to say about that. Later on, they go out to dinner, and it seems like they're in a good place. And they start talking about kids. Stephanie, I believe, she's definitely in her 50s. And Ryan is 27, which she likes to say all the time. My 27-year-old boyfriend, Ryan. She says that like all the time. Like, that's how she announces him in the confessionals. Does anyone else find that weird? Anyway, they were talking about kids, and he was like, I don't want kids, but he kind of slipped up a little bit. And he said, I don't want kids, something like right now. And she's like, whoa, did you hear yourself? Because you just said right now, and I'm telling you, never ever are we having children. He's like, yeah, I understand. It seems like it ends on a good note. And then they're walking back to the room, all lovey-dovey, and then it just cuts to a clip where they're bickering. And we actually don't see what happens. Of course, they need to give you a teaser to have you come back. I'm like, what in the world happened? Like, they were fine, they were great, and then it just seems like S hit the fan, and all hell broke loose pretty much, because you see him like darting out and she's darting up and down. Something happened, and I'm like, what in the world happened? So next episode, gotta see what's going on. So Rebecca and Zied finally gets out of the house, you know what I'm saying? And he goes out to dinner with Rebecca's daughter and son-in-law, and their names are slipping me right now. And I guess friends of the daughter and son-in-law, that's who I'm guessing they are. Um, but basically the episode is focusing in on this one girl named Hannah. And Rebecca's not a fan of Hannah, to say the least. Um, Rebecca kind of mentions that, hey, while Ziad's in the apartment, maybe he can take care of moving some furniture in. And Hannah says, well, my family has like a lot of pickup trucks. I can help you out. And Ziad's just like, yeah, that's fine. And in comes Rebecca. And she has this conversation with him at the table in front of everyone. And to me, that's not right. You should have pulled him to the side and said, hey, this is what's going on. I didn't get that Hannah was trying to be super flirty. It really did seem like she was trying to be helpful. Like, hey, you're moving stuff. I have a way for you to help move stuff. And Rebecca was like, you can't be alone with her. And her daughter kind of picked up on it. And her jealousy was definitely showing. I get it. But that was not the place to like have that conversation. For me, it was embarrassing, not just for her, but for her daughter, for Ziad, and for Hannah. Like, Hannah was just like, I'm just trying to be nice and help out. And Rebecca just took it to the extreme. In the next episode, which is coming, so subscribe in order to get that. But in the next episode, she kind of explains more about that, but she really did not paint a good picture. So, yeah. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention about Jovi and Yara is that when her parents were kind of accusing her of only wanting to come to America, she, like I said before, she was kind of like, whoa, that is not at all what's happening. Like, this isn't my dream. My dream is not to come to America. But she kind of turned the tables on them. And, they're saying that there's a stereotype of wanting to come to America with Ukrainian women. And like I said, she turned the tables on them and was like, well, it's like the same thing when everyone else in the world says that Americans are stupid. And I was laughing so hard. I was like, dang, they got burned. They were so embarrassed. Even her father was like, like, can we please change the subject? I really was not expecting her to say that. And I'm glad that Yara stood up for herself at the end of the day. Like, you're sitting there insulting her and you really expect her to be like, yeah, yeah, keep it coming. I'm glad she stood up for herself. And that's always been Yara. Whatever's on her mind, she speaks it. She wants to like get it off her chest immediately, and good on her, because hopefully that shut them down real quick and we're like, okay, these type of conversations needs to stop. And they do, honestly. So that's the end of my recap. Cat. Does anyone remember Miss Mary Mac? Like those hand games that you used to play, like Rockin' Robin, tweet, or Sly Baby 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, that's really random. Anyway, like I was saying, back on track. That is the end of my recap for season 10, The Devil's Work. I'm not really sure why they called it The Devil's Work now that I'm thinking about it. Like, a lot of times their recaps make sense, but this one, are they talking about like Ryan? Did someone mention the devil and I just completely missed it in this episode? I don't know. I probably missed it. That was probably it. If you know why they call it The Devil's Work, please comment below, because I really don't know. I'm going to be racking my brain for a while. Does that happen to anyone else where like you don't remember? I'm sure it happens to everyone, right? Where you don't recall something and then in like the strangest places it pops up and you're like, oh yeah, but then it's not relevant anymore. So then you're like, what am I supposed to do with this? Anyway, I'm going off on tangents. I'm trying to close out this video and I'm like going on a million tangents. Anyway, like I said, that is the end of my recap. I have recapped other videos. They're going to be in the eye. They're going to be on my channel. Be sure to check it out. Like this video, comment below about episode 10, and subscribe to my channel. Okay, thanks. Bye.